Good morning from the Hungaroring. The qualifying session for Euroformula Open has just waved green. We've got 25 minutes for these drivers to try and set a competitive time around this Hungaroring circuit. 4.381 kilometers of track here in Hungary, built across the winter of 85-86 for the 1986 season, has seen considerable refurbishment since then, but still a fabulous facility for junior single-seater racing. We're expecting lots of exciting stuff here, not least of which, in terms of reasoning, is the fact that we've got new cars and drivers here. The return of DriveX with two new faces. The first of them is Ayrton Simmons in the DriveX machine, the number 12 car. We've also got Benjamin Berta, another of the DriveX entries. That's the car number 63. So two new machines, or rather two new drivers at the DriveX camp.
Absolutely, new faces here at Hungary. Of course, wonderful to be back, certainly here at Hungary as well. This wonderful track that certainly offers lots of testing situations, tight corners, fast bends as well as some slow progressive bends, including a chicane too, that they've got to try and work their way through. But certainly the man to beat right now, Ollie Goethe, top of the standings at this stage, Adam Weller, 251 points, with Christian Mansell in behind as well. A bit of a gap for Mansell to find, but I'm sure, given the fact that we've got plenty of races still to go, he'll certainly cite Hungary as an opportunity.
That he most certainly will. I think it's critical, really, for anyone who wants to try and beat Ollie Goethe, and it seems the two main candidates to do so are Christian Mansell and Vladislav Lomko. If either driver wants to challenge for that championship, it's going to be imperative that they steal some points off of Oliver Goethe's table this weekend. We see Freddie Lubin there just coming out onto the circuit. Vladimir Netishil behind him as well. Good to see Netishil back. The effective racing entry. Vladimir was pulled out of Spa last minute as his wife and he welcomed a new child into the world, and now Vladimir is back at a circuit where he's raced quite a few times previously, has done a couple of races here in Formula Renault machinery and in Formula 3 cars too, so he has some good mileage here at the Hungaroring and does look a bit closer to the rest of the pack as a result. There is the number 24 car of Alex Garcia. Garcia, who almost had his first podium at Spa, but contact on the run-up the Kemmel Straight on the final lap of the final race cost him that opportunity. He was very frank with us. He said, yeah, revenge this weekend.
Yeah, no, he did. He really did cite. It was a real shame, actually, because he was absolutely superb. Probably one of the best performances we've seen from him so far this season at Spa. Gave off a massive defensive effort in the face of the drivers behind him, of course, when he led at that particular point. But then, of course, he collided with the steel barriers, and that brought an end to what was an absolutely tremendous performance. And I'm sure he'll take solace in the fact that he was in that fight and up in the mix of things. And Hungary, once again, as I said earlier, an opportunity maybe for some drivers to certainly try and find something this weekend and increase their points tally in terms of what's going on in the championship. Josh Mason is another one that we saw certainly last time out, claiming his first podiums. Another man who'll be looking for improvements is this man, Francesco Simonazzi, who did go fastest in the first test.
Yes, Simonazzi put in a strong showing on the Thursday here at the Hungaroring. We'll be looking to set a benchmark here for BVM Racing. He was, of course, on the front row in Spa Race 3, couldn't quite capitalise on that position, and he'll be looking to get himself onto the podium this weekend. He goes fastest thus far in the session. Still not really seen many representative laps, but a lot closer to the benchmark now. 1:37.460 out of Francesco Simonazzi. In the qualifying sim runs yesterday, we saw mid 1:34s, and the pole last year was a low 1:34. So that's the kind of benchmark we're looking at for now. So still some pace to come, but of course the drivers just embedding themselves into the cars here in the early morning and getting the Michelin rubber up to temp.
Yeah, well, within 20 minutes now, still a long way to go. Simonazzi already putting a hole in that first time, going faster in the first sector, over 1.1 seconds. And let's see what he can marshal heading through the chicane. You can just see, look at the car rumbling over the curbs there. And, this is how these drivers are certainly measured, certainly with the sheer control that they have with the car. Ayrton Simmons as well in the second sector, just under 1.9 seconds as well, 1.82 in the middle, makes him purple. In fact, goes fastest now, 1:35.634. That's showing more of the time that we would expect to see, certainly in the faster side of things. Certainly now Simonazzi also going purple in the second sector too, finding even more improvements, as you would expect, as the tyre starts to heat up. He now makes his way in towards the final bend at turn 14. Very, very big exit, vital at this point, as now Simonazzi heads up towards the line. What can he register here in the early stages? He will cross the line and nestle in a 1:35.083. It's getting better and better by the moment, Adam Weller.
Here's Ayrton Simmons then. He just set a 1:35.6 last time through, so second fastest at the moment. Simmons, who has been with us previously in the 2020 season, great to have him returning this weekend with DriveX. Simonazzi's time deleted because of a track limits violation at turn 5, which is one of the more unusual places to have it. If it's anywhere, it usually ends up being turn 11. But turn 5 track limits for Simonazzi, putting him down to third place once more. So Simmons, currently the benchmark still. Goethes on a flying lap at the moment also. Let's follow Simmons, though, in this number 12 car as he approaches turn 12, taking a few stabs at the wheel on turn-in. Now through turn 13. Smooth on the power application. Run into the pit lane entry, and in his case, run it very shallow into the corner because he is going into the pits. So maybe wants to make some tweaks to the car. Goethe, though, is on a flying lap in the 96. He'll just be coming across the line now. Here comes the Rothko Golf-coloured car, and it's a 1:34.615. That is one of the best times we've seen all weekend so far. Goethe, once again, of the benchmark.
Yeah, the time's now starting to measure up. Goethe going for blood, certainly not messing about at this point with the initial 70 minutes still to go in this session. Freddie Lubin now up into second as well. Ayrton Simmons, who we saw venture into the pit lane, third fastest. Garcia in fourth as well. Just see there, track limits at turn 5 for car number 96. So that belongs to Ollie Goethe. Has had that time taken away from him. So Christian Mansell now retakes the top of the timing sheets. He's got a 1:35.014. Not quite the 1:34s that we know they can get into, but still nonetheless quick. Well, quicker all the time at this point. 16 minutes and 45 to go. And Goethe's going to have to go again.
Yeah, curious to see how this lap looks as Vladislav Lomko sets a 1:34.453. Lomko with a very good time. Curious to see what this lap looks like for Ollie Goethe, because he did run very, very wide coming out of turn 1, was trying to find traction on the AstroTurf. Doesn't seem to have hindered him too much, though, because this is looking like a flyer of a lap time. Let's see if the 96 car moves further up the order with this lap through the final corner. Turn 14 goes Oliver Goethe. Puts the power down, very nicely managed out of the final corner, and it's going to be a 1:34.223. What a lap from Oliver Goethe, but oh no, they're showing turn 5, and that may be just a whisker over the track limits. We'll have to see whether or not the stewards decide one way or the other. The 96 car, at least for now, touching wood on Ollie's behalf, on the top of the timing screen.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether that is pursued with 1:34.223. That's a hellacious lap time at this point. Vladislav Lomko, who was also showing some really, really good pace in practice yesterday, and certainly looking to try and get his car up at the top end. A mere 0.2 of a second, just of the realm, just over that, in fact, 2/10 behind that of Ollie Goethe, who's currently sat in first place. Christian Mansell in third, has managed to break into the 34s too, a 34.521 for Christian Mansell. Frederick Lubin in behind them as well with a 1:34.634. Garcia also in 5th place too. Josh Mason still in 10th. We haven't yet seen the time yet from Josh Mason, as we're now watching Ollie Goethe just let cars through. Ayrton Simmons you just saw going through and past him. We've got also Benjamin Berta out on an out lap as well. Mason has just improved and gone 7th fastest too. So certainly as the time trickles down, still plenty of time still to go. Track will be getting warmer and warmer all the time. Can we see anyone break into the 1:33s, Adam, do you think?
I think it's certainly possible, yes. We're right there on the kind of benchmark of the times we had last year here at the Hungaroring. I believe it was a 34.1 pole position last year. So we're right there in the same ballpark at the moment, aren't we? Let's wait and see. I believe Jack Crawford was our pole sitter last time. Worth noting that this qualifying session has double importance as always, because the grid for race 1 is of course determined by this qualifying session, and then race 3 also uses this grid with a reverse top 6. So if you're 7th place at the end of this session, you will not be a happy bunny. At the moment, that unhappy bunny spot is taken by Josh Mason. He would be eager to get himself up into the top 6. He had to deal with bad starting positions on a couple of occasions at Spa last time out. However, he did also get 2 podiums out of it, so Mason will be looking to move up the order this weekend.
Yeah, it was a wonderful visit for Mason, certainly after the challenges at the start. Of course, he had some issues at Estoril. We're now watching Mason himself, currently sat in 7th place, and has managed to fight back, certainly, and show what he's capable of. Certainly at Spa, it was wonderful to see him up at the on the podium, and now heading through the next ride, obviously slower in the middle sector. He's looking to just tee up maybe another run, and will then look to get himself going maybe and just move out of that 7th place spot, as you alluded to. Obviously not where the drivers want to be at this point, but Mason himself, he has proven that he has the pace. He's been up there in the mix in practice all weekend, so let's see if he can find himself up there in qualifying.
Spa certainly a favoured circuit for Josh. Rather apt that he got that first podium in the Ardennes Forest, because it was a visit to the Belgian Grand Prix, and I believe he told me 2014, that really triggered this interest in racing as a professional rather than just watching racing as a fan. And he is in his 2nd season of Euroformula Open, delighted to finally get that podium kind of off his shoulder. He's got 2 of them now to his name, and that's why he abandoned in the middle sector on the previous lap, then just locked up trying to turn into the chicane at 6 and 7. So easily done. As soon as you got the wheel under rotating, there's no chance of making it to the apex.
No, not at all. As soon as you venture off there, well, you've literally got little to no chance. You know, watch Alex Garcia heading through this next left, and he'll very shortly make his way through the next right. Middle sector currently leading in towards the final sector as well, and he's currently on a slow run at this moment in time. Comes through this next right-handed, looking to tee up perhaps something of an improved venture, as we alluded to before, and we'll have to wait and see what he can certainly garner.
So it looks like he's got a loose body part there on the top of the nose cone. I believe that's a little access point for the suspension on the Dallara 320, and it's just askew at the moment. I think that might be why he's A, slow, and B, going into the pit lane, because that did look a bit out of position there. You can just see it lifted above his number 24 in that place. So maybe they just tweaked the suspension a little bit and didn't quite seal it down properly. So Garcia back in. Here is Benjamin Berta, the local driver, the Hungarian competitor, a champion here in the Eastern European region last year in the ESET Formula Championship, and now moving up to Euroformula Open with this mid-season drive. He's keen to make this more than a one-off. We hope to see him again. Certainly he's improved dramatically as the weekend has gone on. Here comes Ayrton Simmons, a 1:34.630 for Simmons. Puts him 4th fastest. Very good time. You see there all personal bests as well, so clearly getting the maximum he can out of the lap at the moment, but continues to press on very nice and tidy and smooth through turn 1. And as we know, sometimes smooth is fast.
Well, it certainly is. Keep the car under control, maximise your performance through the corners. That's exactly what these drivers need to do. Simmons doing enough to get into 4th place as well. Plenty of cars in the pit lane. Goethe, Lomko, Mansell, Lubin, Garcia and Simonazzi. Benjamin Berta now 7th fastest, ahead of Josh Mason, who's now been pushed down to 8th. He'll no doubt be looking to try and go out again. We've got just over 10 minutes still to go, so still time enough in order to fulfill yet more fast laps. Goethe will no doubt be very, very happy with where he's positioned, though I'd imagine he's got one eye looking backwards at Vladislav Lomko, obviously, and Simmons, I think, has just had his time deleted as well, because he's now dropped down to 7th fastest, so he's no longer in P4. Track limits at turn 11, once again hurting the drivers at this point.
That is turn 11 there that it just went through. All 4 wheels straight off the over the white line that time as well, so, oh dear. Simmons, though, continues to press on, and the lap time that he's on at the moment was positive in the first sector split. I'm not sure the second is quite up to scratch, so let's see if the number 12 car can register an improvement again this time. I'm sure it'll be faster than his current fastest time, which of course is now a 1:35.6, a 1:44.8 for Simmons, and well, here's what we saw a moment ago. Yeah, oh, very, very, very tight margins in it, but that certainly looked like all 4 wheels were over the white line. So let's see whether or not that time is allowed to stand. No, it doesn't. Had a feeling that was going to be rather cut and dry, especially when it's broadcast live. And Ayrton Simmons is going to have to go again.
Yeah, unfortunately, that one was obviously deleted as well. So Simmons is going to have to go out and try and muster up something else as well. And plenty of other cars as well out. Simonazzi back out on an out lap 2. Currently started 9th fastest ahead of Netteshil, who's currently in 10th. And the gap currently between them, 3.2, Francesco Simonazzi. That's what he needs to find, so to try and make those improvements that are necessary to certainly try and challenge up at the top end. Goethe, though, still not unusurped at this point. Just over 2/10 away from, away is Vladislav Lomko. Now, Ayrton Simmons now coming into sector 2. He is down by just over 6.5 tenths in the first sector, so he needs to try and find something a little more. Just seeing they're not playing with turn 11 this time, but obviously on a slow run, he doesn't have to worry about that too much as he now heads through towards sector 3, and he'll very shortly, no doubt, look to push on and maybe bring out yet another fast run. Needs to try and muster something. Nope, choosing to go into the pit lane instead, Ayrton Simmons. He'll go in, have a think, maybe give it one last go.
Oh, I suspect he will. You can see there he's got quite a lot of camber on the rear. The tyre's kind of pointing inward on both wheels on the rear axle. And here's Stuart Hall talking to Ollie Goethe. Shall we see if we can listen in? No, we can't quite hear what Stuart's doing. In fact, I think Stuart might just be texting while leaning on the car, actually. Driver coach Stuart Hall, who was racing at the Le Mans Classic last week, as was Oliver Goethe. Drove a Lamborghini last week at the Le Mans Classic, a car that used to be raced by his father, Roald Goethe, and got that first taste of GT3 machinery. And we'll see what his future holds. Certainly a champion in the making, be it here in Euroformula, be it elsewhere. You get the feeling he has a long way to climb yet on the ladder, and certainly this Euroformula season has proven the potential of the young Dane. Francesco Simonazzi hasn't quite proven the potential of the package of him in the car so far in this session. We've seen that he's capable of getting into the 35s so far this weekend. We've seen that he can do it. He just hasn't yet set a quick and legal time in the session. Of course, the track limits have deleted many a lap time to this point in the session. I think Simonazzi has been guilty of that, or rather been hindered by that on a couple of occasions. So let's wait and see what Francesco Simonazzi can do. This isn't a push lap from him, as you can see, a second off in the first sector alone, but he's just building himself back up. Yeah, just trying to find his way around this circuit again, just aligning himself up with the many treacherous bends that exist here at the Hungaroring. And he'll then venture, I'd imagine, to go out again. Of course, he hasn't long come out from his out lap, so maybe just marshalling in just some sort of basis just to work from, I suppose, just to build from at this point. You can just see him just slowing the chassis now, slowing the car down itself, coming through this next left. Just trailing now through turns 13. That's a very ominous sign right now. Interesting, but we'll now build up the speed through towards the last corner, perhaps. He certainly does. Puts the power down. In comes Simonazzi, and he will begin yet another fast run. Yeah, teed himself up nicely for a speedy run through turn 14. And onto a flying lap goes Francesco Simonazzi, the young Italian driver, the sole representative of BVM Racing. Oh, having to fight the car a little bit under braking into turn 1. Gets a clean exit, though. Looked like a decent run through the first corner. Let's see what turn 2 brings him. Again, fairly tidy, didn't have to fight the car as hard on that one. Looks like the wheel, well, until about halfway through the corner, the wheel looked like it was agreeing with him. I think he had to correct a couple of things in the mid-corner as he picked the power back up. Now up to turn 4, sweeping fast left-hander. And just nicely within the track limits there. We've seen a few times deleted at turn 5. Let's see. And he sticks very close, certainly pushing the limits, was Simonazzi there through 6 and 7. Not as attacking on the curves as some of the GT cars we see here this weekend, obviously, because there's much less suspension travel when you're in a Formula machine, and Simonazzi getting a bit squirrely there on the exit of turn 9. It's not been the tidiest lap thus far from Francesco Simonazzi, but he's still setting personal best sectors at this stage. Through turn 12 goes the 84 car. Just the 2 bends remain then for Simonazzi to try and establish himself in amongst the competitive order. A 1:37.460, his best time so far, which is some 1.8 seconds off the majority of the pack who are in the 1:35s, if not the 1:34s. Here comes Simonazzi now. What's the time? It's a 1:34.817 to put him up to 5th place.
Yeah, breaking into the 1:34s, he'll be pleased with that. And you have to say, you'll take the positives on the basis that it wasn't perhaps the tidiest of laps, but still able to notch together a 5th place visit, which is great, certainly for him, and currently sat just under 6/10 away from Oliver Goethe, our current leader at the top of the classification. We've got most of the grid now out on track. Garcia has just gone out on an outlap with only 1 car remaining in the pits, and that is Vladimir Netashil, who is now currently in the pit lane. But we've got all cars out and about. Simonazzi reveling in that 5th place visit. Plenty of other cars that will be looking to try and mark their improvements with just over 3 minutes to go here at the Hungaroring. Sensational circuit here, testing, trying circuit. And certainly here, a lot of arm play here from a lot of these drivers. It can get very sweaty in those cockpits, certainly when the sun is beating down on you and you're trying to negotiate your way through many treacherous curves and bends. And again, Simonazzi looking to try and tighten this up heading through this next left. Not quite the improvement to find in the first sector, but he's certainly doing his best as he now just runs over the rumble curves. Made some modest improvements in the second sector. Altogether, that is an improvement as he now makes his way through the next right, trying to get as close as he can to Freddie Lubin's time.
Yeah, so Lubin in 4th place at the moment. Positive from Freddie, who likes this circuit. I was talking to his right-hand man at Motor Park, Gary, just yesterday. And he was saying the circuit reminds both Gary and Freddie of Silverstone. Simonazzi, though, might remind him of home, because that was a great time from Simonazzi. And, well, we're getting the telltale replay, and all 4 wheels definitely were over the white line there. And already the time has been deleted. So we briefly got excited there for Simonazzi. However, the time has been deleted. Oliver Goethe then still on top on a 1:34.223, and he's going quicker again, at least in the first sector split. So let's see what is to come for the Dane. And everyone, I reckon, has bolted on a new set of tyres for the closing stages of this session. I think this is going to be a fraught 2 minutes, and that was a fraught run through turn 11 there for Goethe. He had to get out of that one a little bit to preserve the car, although still purple in the second sector, even though the car tried to mutiny against him.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying. He's putting everything into this run with just over a minute and a half still to go. He exists at top of the timing screen right now with a 1:34.223. Goethe purple in sector 1, 2. Will he be purple in 3 as well? He certainly will be. An impressive lap of 1:34.164. Not quite the 1:33, but still, nevertheless, a wonderful time that now marks him higher again. Higher more so than Vladislav Lomko in terms of time gap. It is now Ollie Goethe. Vladislav Lomko, though, he breaks into the 33. Sensational moment.
Yeah, Lomko was only a few hundredths off in the first 2 sectors on that lap off the back of Lomko's time. I had a feeling that we may yet see a 1:33, and it's come from Vladislav Lomko, a 1:33.972 as we get a replay of that moment for Goethe. Maybe that's where he lost a couple of tenths there, because that will have certainly compromised his run out of turn 11. And, well, it's Vladislav Lomko on top, a 1:33.972 for the French-based driver. Lomko, who, of course, won the Pau Grand Prix, the Grand Prix de Pau, the 79th running on the 8th of May this year. And that's his only win so far in the Euroformula season of 2022. comfortably leading the rookie standings and in third place in the championship. Let's see what Lomko can do this time around. He's going quicker, so is this man Oliver Goethe though. Goethe coming around the final couple of corners. Clock has just hit 0, so this will be Goethe's final lap. Let's see if it's an improvement. Rounds turn 14. Listen to him pick up the power. Nicely done, right in the middle of the turn. Very neat through the final corner. It's going to be a 33, no, a 134.052. I thought he might have just got into the 33s. Also looks like he might have run a tad wide at turn 11, so let's keep an eye on that. What's Lomko's final time going to be, though? Lomko across the line, and not an improvement to 34.0, but as it stands, Vladislav Lomko looks like he might have netted himself a pole position here.
Yeah, what about Freddie Lubin?
Wow.
Up into second place, a massive, well, he's only within 0.08 of a second. That is incredible. What a visit from Frederick Lubin. Oliver Goethe in unknown territory, third place. We usually see him at the top of the sheets. Generally, Josh Mason as well making it up into P4. So I tell you what, how about that? That is absolutely sensational as we now watch the pictures of Christian Mansell heading through towards turn 1. Currently sat in 6th fastest as well, and that is where he's going to be starting. But crucially enough, not in that 7th place.
No, exactly right. That will give him pole position for race 3, Christian Mansell, but I think he'll be disappointed there to only be on the 3rd row of the grid. Everyone has now taken the flag and confirmed that that final run from Goethe has been deleted. We expected that after he ran wide at turn 11. That doesn't affect his 3rd place on the timing screens, but Vladislav Lomko, the one man to get under the 1:34s, a 1:33.972 for Lomko, puts him at the top of the session. And Freddie Lubin, he is going to be delighted to be on the front row of the grid. The trials, the tribulations, and the challenges for Freddie Lubin to this season have been inordinate. But now he's got a great opportunity to get back on the podium for the first time since Estoril. He will line up alongside Vladislav Lomko on the front row of the grid for our first race of the weekend later on this afternoon. Oliver Goethe lining up in 3rd position. Let's see what he can do from there. Josh Mason in 4th place, a strong starting position for the Brit from Crypto Tower Racing Team. Ayrton Simmons on his return, 5th on the grid ahead of Christian Mansell. Francesco Simonazzi, 7th fastest, and Alex Garcia in 8th. Benjamin Berta, quite competitive there on his first outing in the Euroformula car, the Dallara 320. And Vladimir Netschil there with a 138.2, rounding out the grid. Looking very competitive then at the sharp end. The top 6 cars split by just over half a second. The front 2 rows of the grid covered by exactly 0.2 of a second. I think we can rub our hands with glee and look forward to this race later on.
Absolutely, Lomko on top, showing the pace that he had in practice. Lubin, well, no doubt, will be delighted with that visit, managing to get onto the front row, certainly this time around. Oliver Goethe in 3rd place. He tried to string it together, but the rumble over the curbs cost him, and now he's in 3rd place. But nevertheless, there will be opportunities for Ollie Goethe. Never count him out, certainly in that Rofco livery. I tell you what, no doubt he'll be back stronger than ever.
Absolutely, no doubt of that. He'll be relishing the challenge, if anything, from the 2nd row of the grid. We know he can pick his way through a pack. Let's see what he can do from 3rd place. Freddie Lubin with a great starting position for this one on the front row of the grid, and Vladislav Lomko, our pole sitter for the first race of the weekend. Here goes an interview with Lomko. Sounds like we might have some technical issues then down in the pit lane, so apologies for that. We'll try and get a word with Vladislav Lomko, the 133.972 set by Vladislav Lomko. There you see him, along with Freddie Lubin there, receiving plaudits from their respective crews. Crypto Tower entering Vladislav Lomko, and Motor Park entering Freddie Lubin. Lomko, who, as I mentioned, took the victory on the streets of Po in the all-important Po Grand Prix earlier this year, hasn't been back to the top step of the podium since, but he's relentlessly consistent, and that could well be the makings of a championship challenge, especially if he can get some top step results this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, this is all about confidence at the end of the day. But he's been absolutely phenomenal all season long, always in the top 3 fighting, and has certainly shown again that he certainly has the pace more than enough to match those here in the Euroformula classification.
So there's Lomko's car, and I believe we will hear from him in just a few moments, getting a bit of a weighing at the moment, of course, making sure that all is well and all is legal. I believe we are now going to hear from Vladislav Lomko.
Vlad Lomko, first ball, at last. You were close many times, but this time it's done.
Yeah, finally. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, to be honest. I was really close in pole, but slightly didn't manage to. But yeah, here I'm really happy to have this first pole. It feels really good.
And here it's not only a nice feeling, it's a big advantage at the Hungaroring.
Yeah. It is like the track where it's quite tough to overtake. So obviously it is really good for race 1, and then for the reverse grid we see what we can do.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well done. All the best.
Thank you very much.
There you go. First pole position for Vladislav Lomko in Euroformula Open. Can he convert it to a win? Let's find out. The first race of the weekend for Euroformula Open will begin at 4:30 local time here at the Hungaroring.